Welcome back to the Titanium Hanger. Happy Friday, everybody. Today I want to talk to you about the top 10 list of old Masterpiece Transformers that still hold up today. And I did ask last Friday, for all of you to submit 5 figures that you like the most that are older than a year old. That could be 10 years old, but just Masterpiece scale and all that kind of stuff. So with this, I did have to do some cheats to pick 10. It was really hard because there were so many submissions. I want to say thanks to everyone who submitted that. So this list is partially from your submissions and partially me just compiling all that. So anyway, let's get into old Masterpiece Transformers. Maybe you are going to get some ideas for something that you want. Or maybe you're going to just have some fun with a trip down memory lane, appreciating what we have. Coming up. So first one is Optimus Prime, and this is my first cheat to get a top 10 list. So I'm going to say that it's pretty much equal. Well, I actually think MP10 got the most love out of these 4 in the top 5 lists. But between MP10 on the left and then the other 3, MP10's more of a real world, the other 3 are more tune accurate. But you can't go wrong with any of them. Like seriously, any of these on your shelf will look fine. It is definitely Optimus Prime, and it would look great. Me, personally, I still like the MP44 mold design in the bot mode the most, and so with that, I did a video 2 weeks ago, really beating the Primes to death, so we don't want to do that anymore. If you haven't checked that video out, I basically compare the Magic Square 2.0 to everything else, including Magic Square 1.0, but with these 3 right here, between the 3 tune looks, I actually think most people say Transform Element is the best cab mode or alt mode. And so looking at this picture, it does look more accurate with the Magic Square one having just a really big, fat cab on the back. So, but still, they're all great figures. But yes, I think Transform Element is cleaner in alt mode. So number 9 on the list is MP36 Megatron. Now, the thing about this is that, does it still hold up? Yes, it is, in my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinion, the best Megatron that's on the market right now for the Masterpiece scale. There are some others that are outdated, basically. There are 3 other ones out there. I've done videos about those. But MP36, the reigning king, I think Magic Square could beat them. They could dethrone the king if they put out their version in a Masterpiece scale. But they seem to not want to do that. I kind of cross my fingers and hope that they hinted they're doing that with this release of this Optimus Prime. But the fact that there's KOs out there, we can get this thing for a good price, it's definitely worth it. As for the alt mode, it's perfectly fine in alt mode, but it is in itself a problem with the character. The fact that it does turn into a gun in this current modern day climate, and it's been a problem since, I remember back in like 2005 or 6, that it was even hard to get one of these off of eBay of the MP05. So anyhow, that might be a drawback to this character and people making this character. But at the end of the day, you gotta have Megatron, right? Number 8 on my list is Make Toys Contact Shot, and I have to say that this figure goes down as one of my biggest fails in collecting, passing on this guy. And for the price he was back in the day, I think he actually was. Make Toys was charging over $100 for this guy, like 130. But everyone that has him likes him. He's really hard to get. Eludes most collectors in their collection. But he holds up today because he still looks fantastic. And the fact that he matches the character almost perfect in both modes. And also, if they reissued him, he'd sell like hotcakes. He'd outsell any of the Seekers they reissued. He'd sell like he was Optimus Prime. No, just kidding. Okay, so here's the alt mode, and I think it looks fantastic. It's like a futuristic headmaster kind of thing. Is it a headmaster or a power master? Anyhow, it's really an awesome looking representation of the character. I do have the G1 one. I need to grab it off the shelf eventually, do something with it. But still, this is a great update, and hope Make Toys does eventually put it back out. Number 7 on my list, voted by you guys, was KFC's Red Car. And I'm actually going to lump in just all of them. They're the whole group of them, because it's the same figure with slightly different changes to them to make all of the other Junkions, which of course is very smart, but very expensive. I think I'm going to go with all of the mainline ones and just kind of, do it that way. But still, KFC did a good job with this guy, and the paint is superb. It's a premium type of a finish on a figure back before even X Transbots was doing premium types of finishes. So The transformation's not fun, but it gets the job done. And yeah, he watched TV and all that fun stuff. The alt mode looks good. It looks just like the show, and you can have him ride himself, or you can have one of the other Junkions ride him, which is kind of the whole fun of the Junkions in that. So, at the end of the day, this one here at number 7, the KFC Red Car or Crash Hog, is an outstanding figure, and I'm glad I've got him in my collection. So, number 6 on the list is Transform Element Mirage, and that one popped up a few times. And the thing about that one is that it is a very good figure, and I'm surprised it got so much hate and so much negativity for such a good figure. And so with that, I do agree with this being a figure that's held up over the years. Now, it's really not that old of a figure. It's only a few years old, but it does carry the tune accuracy to it. Looks good in both modes, and for the most part, aside from the hips misassembled on the first run, it is an excellent figure, and I would suggest this one. And I still think it's going to hold its own next to Fans Toys. Fans Toys might be a little more hefty and all that kind of stuff. Might look a little bit better, but at the end of the day, side by side or even just on your shelf, this thing's still going to hold up when Fans Toys comes out. Like I said, it looks good in both modes. The alt mode looks great. And I do think that the Sphinx by MMC was a good figure, but not a great figure. I think this destroys Sphinx in bot mode, but Sphinx still is an excellent alt mode. And that one could have made the list. I mean, they can't all make the list, right? Next up on the list is the Takara Sunstreaker. And so this one here is, I think, an MP39. And it holds up very well. Now, it's a pretty complicated transformation because they crammed a whole lot of cool stuff into this, but it looks very tuned and more or less clean. I mean, yeah, you can see in this picture somewhat of a Ghibli look to him, but he is a fantastic representation of the character and still wins versus all of the others out there. Now, there's a couple of other decent ones out there, like Bad Cube, and then there was another one that was Omnigonics that if you're really careful with that thing, you could pose on a shelf and leave it alone, and it'd look okay. But at the end of the day, this one performed really well. And I got mine for like $50 as a KO, 53 or something weird nonsense like that. Now, another cool thing that I don't know if everyone really knows about it is that you can have 2 different versions of the alt mode. Now, this alt mode looks just like a standard looking Lamborghini. You can just get this Lambo, or you can just flip it out and you could get it with more of the toy look with those engines or whatever you want to call those intakes, whatever that is on the back. You have opening doors and hood and all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of the beginning or turning point with Takara, where they started adding a whole lot more gimmickry into their Transformers, and they put a lot into this, but it is a bit of a challenging transformation. Still, number 5, Sunstreaker. Number 4 on the list is going to go to Fans Toys Aerial Bots, and so the reason that I think many people really like the Aerial Bots, because even though all of the Stunticons that are individually put out for the Fans Toys, they're great. They all look good. But these feel even bigger and more premium because they're actually going to take on the leg part and the arm part, in my opinion, because we don't know how it's going to transform. But versus the other ones are going to be sort of clip-ons. And so with that, these are a little more expensive, and they are actually a little bit bigger and beefier. But the transformations are very intuitive, very simple, compared to some of the stuff Fans Toys was putting out for a while. And this, of course, was a bit of a refreshing change for Fans Toys to make a more simplified, intuitive transformation with, I'm not talking about Maverick, I'm talking about Goose. And so with that, we like to finish this team. Now, this is going to be a sore spot for a lot of people that, yes, the team hasn't been finished yet, to all those Zeta owners who've had theirs for 2-3 years now. I guess if you're looking at combined mode, Zeta's the winner right now. that one holds up in combined mode, but not all of them. But I think this will hold up in all 3 modes. All of these figures, all these characters for Fans Toys Aerial Bots. And for me personally, it felt good seeing these on the list because out of all the combiners, Superion's my favorite. So with that, I'm definitely going to finish this team whenever they eventually show up. So number 3, I'm going to let this one tie out because I saw multiple of this one, and I just think the Carbots in general, that some of them hold up, some don't, but I think Prowl and Wheeljack hold up the best. And with that, could we see another company make a better Prowl or a better Wheeljack? Sure. They have their imperfections, they're not the best, but from the front and somewhat limited articulation in a way, but they're not bad. Thinking how old these are, 2012 or something like that, so decade-old figures that you have them on the shelf next to figures that just came out a year ago or even just recently in a few months, they still look pretty good. Now, there was an upgrade with the Plus, and I think the Plus is another whole video that we need to talk about, because there's more to talk about with Plus than I've said recently. So with this, I think both these hold up. Now, Prowl comments are articulation is a bit lacking for what they were doing at the time, and he's got a big openings in the back of his leg. Yeah, he does. He does. That's something that would probably get fixed by maybe a Fans Toys or an X-Transbots or something. But Wheeljack also holds up, but he has less of those issues that you could complain about. But at the end of the day, these still hold up, and you can get KOs for dirt cheap. Number 2, we have the DX9 Gabriel, which I think that this thing was brought up so much because of the fact that we have that new Legends scale version that's coming that looks just like it. I also think that more people own this than the Fans Toys because it was a more attractive price point. BBTS got in multiple stocks of it for like $185 or something along those lines and sold them. So many people have this, and it's good at the same time, and it's good. Nobody really talked about the Fans Toys version at all in this, so I agree with it. I have this one, and I went with it because it was cheaper and it looked good versus the Fans Toys, and so with that, it's a great option. Looking at the alt mode's fine. I don't display mine in alt mode. I display mine in bot mode, and I probably won't see this mode again for a really, 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 really long time. But if this is the mode you want, it's still a good mode. And I really do regret not picking up the Wheeljack version back in the day, because that one had a lot more playability than even the DX9 or the Fans Toys. But I think DX9 is a winner in the bot mode. Okay, so I'm going to randomly flash some pictures up here for figures that didn't make the list, so you could call them honorable mentions. But the thing is, there were so many great figures that were mentioned in last week's comments, and so with that, I couldn't cram them all in on a list of 10, even though I'm cheating on a few and doubling up on a few. It's really, really hard. So with that, this is just a nice little montage of figures that all could have made the list. Every one of these could have made the list. Number 1's a cheat. It's a cheat, and it's the dinos. Now, it's not just Fans Toys, it's Fans Toys and Gigapower. And the reason I'm going to tie out all of these and not even say which one would be the best, because so many people did the same exact thing. They put either 2 or 3 dinos on their top 5 list, or one of theirs was the whole Fans Toys or the whole Gigapower set. And so with that, it really does make it hard to pick one when the dinos got the most votes out of every figure or character out there. And really, it wasn't one like Grimlocker. It wasn't one like Swoop. Swoop should be the best, top one. So with this, I want to say a couple things about it. Number 1, Gigapower is more like a toy version, shiny, and there's some stuff to it, less tuned. Real world, less tuned. Fans Toys is more tuned, but not hyper tuned yet. They were tuned, but a little bit of real world to it with the chrome and all that kind of stuff. So if you want a more tuned, go with the Fans Toys. If you want more real world than Fans Toys, go with Gigapower. Gigapower is significantly larger than what they're doing with the Fans Toys, but you can't go wrong with either set. And now with them reissuing several of the Fans Toys, it's not price prohibitive as it was before. Before it was stomped selling for $1,200. Now you can get them for like $200, $250. And of course, a 50-50 split in the community. Who displays them in bot versus who displays them in Dino mode. So if everybody enjoys this list, I was going to make my own list up, and I said, nope, I want to ask the community, I want to ask the viewers what they think, and I'm so glad I did, because I would have had a couple of different figures on this list that nobody really mentioned, and so I left them off the list. They're in the honorable mentions, the honorable mention category, but with that, it was kind of fun to see what everybody thinks still holds up today, and it'll be kind of fun to see if they really hold up to the competition going forward. Like, subscribe, comment below. Titanium Hanger out.